Hello from me as well. I'm Akis Papadopoulos. I'm the coordinator of the MAMMOth project. Not a very inspired name, to be honest. That's what we could think of when we talk about multi-attribute, multimodal bias mitigation, a word with many M's. Anyway, our motivation and starting point has been it's a bit garbled. Yes, has been this very simplistic view of so-called microfairness scenario. I liked this term from Lynette's presentation. I didn't know about it. And in this scenario, as also Susan acknowledged, we have a very simple setting, very tidy, and seems easily solvable. We have our data in more or less in a structured or semi-structured way. We turn it into an attribute table with target variables, and we conduct then model building and bias assessment. There are some limitations associated with this scenario. Of course, when we were thinking about the project 3 years and more back, they were much more pronounced. As we said, typically in many of the prototypical applications of AI bias, data is in some structured form. Then most people, in the beginning at least, used to work with a single protected attribute or conducted the analysis independently per attribute. There has been a big focus on classification tasks, although, of course, people increasingly work on ranking, as we saw in previous presentations. But recently, the rise of generative AI has increased the problem scope. And of course, just to make things simple, many times we reduce the problems to a single bias metric, while in practice there are so many ways and often with different objectives. And beyond that, this is so-called statistical or computational framing of the problem, but this is the tip of the iceberg. And as many speakers before and many of us have recognized, the problem is much broader and it requires a much more in-depth analysis and understanding. So we see that there are, starting the project, we had framed the main challenges as defining AI bias in a more general way to take into account, for instance, multiple protected attributes, intersectionality, and even new ways of defining groups and risks of discrimination. We think that multimodality is an important aspect. So how do we define bias beyond the tabular data in text, in images, graphs, and the application domain? So without a context and a domain, this doesn't have much sense. So the project started already in November 2022. It, similarly to at least the two other of the 4 projects, it will end this year, close to the end of this year. We are 12 partners from 11 countries. And we have set some ambitious objectives that are organized along 3 axes. First axis is the development of new methods and technologies, both redefining bias on the basis of multiple characteristics, but also trying to create standardized ways of addressing bias across all phases of AI system development. A second axis has to do with actually implementing and integrating the new methods into tools that are usable in a variety of contexts. And last but not least, a set of objectives focus on validating the solutions in different domains and also reaching out to a broader audience than technical people with the results and the awareness about the results. The partners of the project are quite diverse. There are 5 academic and research partners, 4 companies, and 3 civil society organizations spread across Europe. And we have 3 guiding use cases. One, which is led by our partner Akis, is focusing on credit scoring applications, so in the financial sector. And there, this is a more, let's say, typical and established application domain where people work with tabular data. So it's much closer to the very simple scenario that I presented in the beginning. A second use case has to do with image-based authentication, so trying to log in remotely using a photo of a person as their identification. This is led by our partner ID Now. And it's also quite representative of the visual bias issues that we face. And the third use case has to do with studying bias in the context of academic collaborations and citation networks. And this is led by our partner CSH in Vienna, and represents the challenge of studying bias in the context of graphs. We do also adopt a kind of multidisciplinary and interdisciplinary approach, starting from co-creation activities in a variety of formats, including interviews with AI experts, conducting co-creation workshops with people that are attracted by our civil society organization partners, and also very intensive multidisciplinary workshops among ourselves, followed by a kind of systematic use case and requirement analysis process. Then this feeds into the development, research and development process for the actual implementations, so prototyping new algorithms and integrating them into tools and libraries. And last, of course, benchmarking them in data sets, evaluating them together with our use case partners in realistic or close to realistic scenarios, and also, of course, demonstrating them to people outside the project and providing training material in order to reach out to more audiences. Of course, even if we have a kind of interdisciplinary character, we still maintain quite a big technical focus, and at the core of our project we do have a set of libraries and software implementations integrated into the so-called My Bias Toolkit. And these also integrate with third-party established libraries like AIF360, Fairlearn, and the like. And they are accompanied by quite extensive documentation and material. And serve, our first step, of course, has been to serve the use cases, but they are usable much beyond there. I will go now through a brief summary of the main results. Hopefully some of these might be useful for your research as well. We do, I mean, our primary objective has been to build things that we could also use ourselves for our own research. We do have, of course, some results coming out of the co-creation activities in the form of reports and guidelines. A large number of results in terms of software that everyone can use, training and outreach material, and of course scientific publications. So one of the main results is the AI Fairness Definition Guide. This was co-authored by 3 main authors with different backgrounds, so one technical, one social science, and one legal. So we hope that this is quite representative of our interdisciplinary understanding of the problem. Then we do have one of the main results is the My Bias toolkit. This tries to offer a relatively user-friendly way to several of the results of the project. So it integrates both method implementations by partners, but also third-party results. And through a web-based user interface, so it's supposed to be used also by non-programmers in order to study bias in different types of data sets. Actually, for those of you who attended yesterday's workshop, you had a look into how this can be used. Behind this, there are several libraries that are integrated, but also can be used in a standalone way, in a programmatic fashion. So if you are data scientists or programmers, this could likely be useful for you. So Fairbench is one of the quite well-developed results, since it's one of the first results in the project. So we have been using it internally also for preparing our benchmarking and evaluation results for paper submissions, and it's been quite efficient. MMM-FAIR is a more recently released library which helps with building multi-objective optimization methods and classifiers that try to optimize at the same time multiple criteria. It also offers some interactive exploration ways for looking into the Pareto front of solutions. This is the VB Visual Bias Mitigator library. This can help both assess and mitigate bias in vision models. We saw yesterday several works that focused on, for instance, vision transformers and visual bias, and this is quite a relevant library. So it implements a number of methods from the literature, so it makes also reproducibility of results quite streamlined. And also a library for studying bias in the context of networks. So it tries to measure network-based inequalities. And this is also quite unique in the sense that not many people study the problems in a kind of a social networking setting. Beyond the technical results, there are also free open materials that people can use, and there are two kinds of materials. Several actual AI literacy materials addressed mostly to non-technical audiences, trying to give a very accessible view of the problem. Actually, there are also materials on how to create exhibits that are more engaging and can be used in the context of events. So this is the photo of an exhibit created by our partner in Groningen. And we actually took several of these elements and replicated this in an exhibition in Thessaloniki, in Greece. And also, there are some more specialized materials like Jupyter Notebook tutorials that are usable in the context of computer science courses, and that are freely available. And last but not least, several scientific results in the form of publications, that address different aspects of the project. So some of them focusing on the definition of bias across multiple attributes, or optimizing bias across different dimensions, mitigating bias in computer vision, studying bias in the context of networks, and several other emerging domains. I'll leave it there. I would hope that something of all this could be useful for you. Here is the website of the project and my email in case you want to get in touch. Several of the partners are also here, and maybe you've already talked with them, and we are very willing to have conversations around these issues. Thank you. Is there any question? Yes.
Hi, thank you for the presentation. I noticed the MMM Fair library.
Sorry?
The triple M Fair library. MMM Fair, right? Okay.
Yes, what it is?
No, was it the multi-objective library that you explained, maybe?
Unfortunately, I don't know if we can go to the slide. What is the question on the...
About the multi-objective library, I was wondering, are you tuning an algorithm or like the hyperparameters of the algorithm in a multi-objective way, or?
I would hope that Arjun, who is the lead developer of the library, is here. Are you here, Arjun? Okay. Yes, it's right behind you. maybe you can directly respond.
I was wondering which techniques do you use, and if you're tuning the hyperparameters or within a configuration, if you're tuning the parameters of the algorithm.
So right now, like basically, like the bigger picture of MMM Fair is basically to make it work with any kind of like classifier. So basically, like also release computer vision version, like to tune LLMs as well. Like these are like future goals, but right now it works with tabular data. And on tabular data, basically the state of the art, it still is like boosting based algorithms. So basically, like very simple classifiers, like for example, say gradient boosted trees, or like, yeah, like just like boosting ensembles. What it does is basically, it creates with, for example, say in the normal AdaBoost style, it creates with, by boosting sample weights with different objectives. So basically like you boost the sample weights to create different version and you go through the journey. Or basically like you do like the gradient update, what you do with basically the gradient boosted trees, and create like the different partial ensembles. And what it lets is basically like when you have these all these partial ensembles, it gives you the Pareto front of all these partial ensembles. So what you can do is go to this, with this Pareto front visualization, you can go to any of these theta points and see like what the solution looks like with terms of like multiple definitions. For example, say the solution, the prediction, how it fares with respect to different definitions of fairness, how it fares with respect to class imbalance, with respect to accuracy, with respect to overall multi-attribute fairness. And based on this, you can give like the update with the chat bot, basically like the interactive, like a platform. And there, like, it will update your model, and then you can save it. If you, okay, you cannot scroll down here. So basically, like, there is an option to save it as an Onyx version. So what Onyx version will do is basically you can then make it run in your cloud application, or you can just like plug it into MAMMOth toolkit, and it will do all the explorations for you.
So we thank Akis again. Thank you.